Jesse Bob is an enigma. He's an interesting man. He's a complete mystery. You can check him out at jessebobharper.com. Everybody, give it up for Jesse Bob Harper.
I wasn't born cynical. That's bullshit. I mean, I wrote that and I said, you know, that's sort of bullshit, man, because you don't really know if you were cynical when you were born. You know, I mean, I was there, but barely. So I may have been born depressed or angry, but it sounds better than I don't believe I was born cynical. It sounds better to say I wasn't born cynical. And I'm not cynical now. I'm actually a pretty optimistic guy. I mean, I don't believe that the world is going to shit tonight. I don't believe you're all out to get me. I don't believe you're all lying to me, but I am acutely aware that you could be. Right? I am acutely aware of life's possibilities, both the bad and the good. And I have always been acutely aware of life's possibilities. That doesn't mean that I focus only on the bad. I generally don't. But the bad is always somewhere in there, ready for me to recall it or call it up. And this isn't a talent or a trait that I was born with. This acute awareness is something that was taught to me by the environment in which I grew up in. Now, I grew up in a small county, and my old man, when I was a kid, was the district attorney of this county. And for whatever reason, because he didn't have anyone to talk to, or because of the Jack Daniels, I don't know, he had no problem talking about his work at home around the kitchen table in detail, like assault cases that were going on, rape cases that were going on, child molestation cases that were going on, you know, the what, the who, the why, the how. He always focused on the how, you know. And I remember being like 6 years old, even that young, going, you know, I don't think this dude should be telling us this shit. I mean, you know, look at my brothers and sisters. We all have those times when we were kids, even when we were really little kids, that something happened or somebody said something and we said, that's gonna fuck me up. You know, that somewhere like in 20 years I'm gonna be talking to some therapist about that, you know. You don't say that to yourself, but you sort of know it, and that's why we remember those things. I remember one time, this is the gospel truth, we were around the dinner table, it's raining out, it's storming, and he gets this faraway look in his eyes, and he's looking outside, and he said, God, it's a good night for a murder, isn't it? I don't know, Poppy. Is it? So sometimes, every once in a while, his work would also follow him home, and we lived out in the country on a county road, and middle of nowhere. And you know, like, have you ever heard that saying that, or it's, you know, you take your middle name and the street you grew up on, and that's your porn actor name, you know, like Justin Oak or whatever it is, you know. Mine would be Robert, County Road 600 North. So, you know, my brothers and I noticed this tension in the house. There's a real palpable tension, and we got really good at disseminating what the tension was about, where it was coming from. There was really distinct tension. There was the dad's had too much to drink, so stay out of his way tension. There was the mom's been cooped up in this house all alone with 4 crazy kids, so stay away from her tension. And then there was the parental secret tension, you know, where they were trying to keep something from us. But we got little clues along the way. Like, we started getting new chores, my brothers and I, but they weren't like the normal chores. They were sort of strange chores, you know. My dad was like, hey, after you guys do the dishes, I want you to take some paint scrapers out to the mailbox and get our name off of there. All right, you know. Yeah, when you come back in, I want you to pick up those 13 dead crows that someone left in the yard last night. Okay. So these are like red flags, you know. And someone on Friday the 13th, they dumped 13 dead crows in our yard, and my brothers and I had to clean them up. And what happened was, because they told us, they probably shouldn't have, but you know, they told us in detail, my dad had prosecuted this leader of a motorcycle gang. And I think it was the Invaders or some shit. Now this is the 70s, so this is when motorcycle gangs was the real deal, you know? Not like your after-school special motorcycle gangs. I mean, these guys. And the gang threatened to kill my dad, his wife, and his kids. So, and my dad told us that. And so when you're 6 years old, and you're like the direct target of a motorcycle gang, it opens you up to the possibilities of life. Some are good, some are bad. So my brothers and I started to get taken to school by one of the sheriff's deputies, so we didn't have to wait by the bus stop. And my dad got a gun, which even as a kid, I'm like, this is such a bad idea. I mean, this guy drinks a tumbler full of Jack Daniels for dinner. And he's gonna have, I mean, if someone breaks into the house, I'm hiding behind the guy who broke into the house because he's not gonna be the one to get shot. You know what I mean? Somebody else will get shot, but not him. And my parents get a dog. Now, we had a lot of dogs and a lot of animals, you know, turtles, frogs, gerbils, dogs. But we got this dog, his name was Derek, and we got him as a guard dog. And he was a guard dog in the sense that he was a dog, and he was supposed to guard us. That was about where it ended. And lucky for him, he came already named, or he would have been named after one of the characters from Sesame Street, like all of our other animals, you know, like Grover the fish, and Cookie Monster the turtle. And so, Derek was a big dog. He was part German Shepherd, part Great Dane. And he looked mean. And he looked the part of a guard dog. And he really did protect us from strangers. Like if someone strange came around the house, Derek would really take that stance of a guard dog and bark. And I really fell under Derek's protection. I think maybe because I was the youngest, but also because most kids, when they have a boogeyman or the monster under the bed, somewhere deep down inside of you, even as a kid, you know it's a figment of your imagination. You know it's make-believe somewhere. But this was a fucking motorcycle gang, you know what I mean? These guys were real, you know, and they wanted to kill me, you know, little Jesse Bob. So I had put all of this, and my brothers, you know, reminded me of that every day. And, is that a Harley? And so I really fell under Derek's protection. And he was one of the very first constants in my life outside of my mom and my brothers and my sister was Derek, our dog. And he was there in the morning to greet us. He played with us during the day, and he protected us at night. He was like the father we never had. And when my mom, after the motorcycle gang episode, and actually I called my dad last night and I said, hey, what was that motorcycle gang, or who were those guys that wanted to kill us? And he's like, which time? So when my mom and dad got divorced, my mom moved to town, and we went with her, and Derek came with us, and then there was sort of this switch in our relationship. And Derek, I went from being Derek's responsibility, where Derek became my responsibility, because now that we were in town, he had to be walked. And you had to clean up after him when he walked. And you had to make sure he got outside at a certain time. You couldn't just have a dog door where he could run out to the backyard. And then as I got older, and got into my teenage years, like most teenagers, I think, you become sort of self-absorbed. And you're worried about how you appear. And you're worried about how you fit in. And you don't have as much time as you once did for those constants in your life, like Derek. And Derek also had this thing that he had like a softball size thing on his hind legs where he would just eat the fur, and it was like a perfect circle, man. I mean, it was just like it was like one of those alien crop things. And it just was a perfect, and it was just pink skin, and it just had flies flying around it. It was like a dead part of his hind leg that we couldn't get fixed. But for some reason, it just infuriated me, you know? I don't know if it embarrassed me in front of people, and I couldn't have people over, but I was just infatuated with that pink part of Derek's skin, you know? And as I got older, and I was still very cognizant of the choices in life, and the possibilities in life, and that some of these possibilities lead to good things, and some of them lead to bad things. Derek, one day, when I was a teenager, as animals are wont to do, and humans included, was no longer able to sustain life. And we had to put him down. And it sounds like a Maxwell House commercial, doesn't it? And as I get older, And people talk about regrets, and they say, well, I'm not going to have any regrets. I don't want to have any regrets. I'm going to live a life without regrets. When you know the possibilities in life, I think you know that living life without regrets is sort of bullshit. Because there are so many different things we can do and become and be and see and listen to that we're all going to. I had a binder full of regrets before I turned 21. But you also realize that all of those regrets are sort of bullshit. You're not going to regret having climbed Mount Everest. I hear it's all douchebags nowadays anyway. You know, they all get flown to the summit, right? Have you seen this thing? And you're not going to regret not having made love to that beautiful woman or that good-looking guy. Because as you get older, what you regret is taking for granted those constants in your life. And you really regret not petting them enough. Thanks.